button. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I am Marnie Clark, breast cancer coach, and with me today is a very special lady. Her name is Tirtzah Sandor, and she is a creative empath, intuitive healer, cancer releaser, part-time mindset and health coach, and author of a very cool book that I actually have on my website. It's called Mindset for Healing, a profound yet simple plan to see healing from a new perspective. Welcome, Tirtzah. I'm so glad to have you here with me.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. I know what good you do for everybody, so this is wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, whatever you're comfortable sharing. And the main reason for our interview today is because I know that you were diagnosed with breast cancer. So tell me a little bit about that journey, what type it was, where it was, when it happened, and that sort of thing. But yeah, tell us everything
Okay.
you want to tell us.
Well, in 2016, I went through a breast cancer healing journey. I was diagnosed in January of 2016 with triple negative stage 3 grade 3, I can talk, inflammatory breast cancer. And I was fortunate enough to be able to release it in 9 months. Not many people can say that, but I did a lot of things differently being a health coach. I didn't follow the normal medical world way of doing everything, and I believe that made a huge difference. One of the biggest things that happened was at the end of my healing journey, I was no longer the same person. So I actually chose to change my name and take on the name that was more about who I was after the healing journey.
Awesome.
And that was an interesting thing. I actually went through a name changing ceremony, and being Jewish, I went to the mikveh, which is a healing waters that is very cleansing. And I wrote a ceremony. There's 7 steps down and 7 steps up. And I wrote a ceremony as to what I was releasing and then what I was stepping into on my way out.
Amazing.
It was profound.
I can just imagine. Well, and tell me a little bit about what Tirtzah means to you, this name.
Tirza means hope and desire. And it was given to me long time ago, and I completely forgot about it. When I was at camp, a friend of mine gave me this name, and I just kind of laughed it off. And then when I was looking to figure out who I was, the name came back to me, and I started looking it up. I found out that it's a reference to a very strong woman in the Bible, which at the time really resonated with me because it was a woman who stepped up and spoke her mind in a time when most women didn't do it. And that's kind of who I am. So that's another piece of that name, the fact that it was a strong, outspoken woman.
Wonderful. Awesome. And we're so glad you are.
Thank you.
So take me back to those early days when you were first diagnosed, how it made you feel, what things you were thinking about, and what therapies you chose to have for yourself.
Mhm. So at first I was devastated. I was in denial. I was in shock. I did the oh shit, now what? I think I went through more emotions than I knew I ever had. It was the biggest emotional roller coaster I have ever been on. Um, Cancer does run in my family. We do have a family history of it. My mother passed away from lung cancer, but she was a 4-pack-a-day smoker her entire life. I swear she started smoking when she was a baby. My father was a 3-time cancer survivor, and unfortunately, he did pass from prostate cancer. I had an uncle, my father's brother, who had colon cancer, but was able to release that and survive and live a nice life. And my both of them, my uncle and my father, were in their 90s when they passed away. So I kind of figured that I was too stubborn to get it, but that's not the way it works.
Yep.
Um, so I did my journey quite a bit differently. I worked with the medical world. I went to a medical oncologist and a surgical oncologist, and told them both that I was going to do this my way and work with them, and expected them to work with me. And I was very fortunate to have found 2 doctors who were willing to do that. You asked me about different modalities that I did. I did have to go through 2 rounds of chemo, unfortunately, and I did have some issues with that. But I sort of put the word out to the universe and asked the universe to bring me whoever I needed. And it was just amazing, the people that came into my life. And, I would talk to one healer and say, okay, can you recommend something else that might help me? And I did a whole, probably whatever type of healing was out there possible. I can tell you all of them. I did Reiki and sound bowl healing and hypnosis and regular therapy, and I walked a lot. I did Qigong. I did shaman sessions. I did juicing. I went to an Ayurvedic doctor who was also a cancer doctor. I did breathing techniques, all kinds of supplements, polarity therapy, Tai Chi, healing codes. I went to classes that were offered by some of the cancer centers here in Columbus, Ohio, and had the support, thank goodness, of both of my physicians. So that made a huge difference for me.
That's awesome. And yeah, it sounds so much like me. I did almost exactly the same sorts of things that you did. And so as you were going through these various things, what do you feel like made the biggest difference for you? Or was it a blend of all of them? And what was your mindset as you were going through all of this?
Well, I think the biggest mindset for me was being positive and living a full life during the treatments. We did travel a lot, but when I needed to sleep, I would go back to the hotel room and I would sleep. I also honored when I needed to completely stop and take care of myself. And I did not allow myself to feel guilty for doing that. I was very fortunate. I was in a position where I could put everything aside and just really concentrate on me, and had the full support of my husband, which was amazing. Lots of friends were there to help me. That was another thing, as I connected with many people. I was also very big on being my own advocate. I did a lot of research. I questioned everything.
And I think
And
a good survivor does that, I think that's what we do. We question absolutely everything. I think that's so
yes,
important. I mean, that's how you make the journey your own, you choose the things that make sense to you, and put aside the ones that don't.
exactly. exactly. And it was kind of interesting, because the nurses where I was getting the chemo treatments knew that I was a health coach. And it was wonderful because where we were at, it was one huge room where I know that most of the other hospitals here in town they isolate you, which is when you're going through chemo, to me, being around other people and having that positivity makes a huge difference. And, seeing all the nurses and, the nurses that got to know me, because I had this ritual and I would put, you have a little tiny tray that's maybe about this big, and I would fill it up the things that were important to me. And I would have my healing meditations ready on my phone, and I had crayons and all those types of things. And they knew they just had to leave me alone until it was time. And I had a chair by the window. I always asked for a chair by the window. And there were many times when they asked me if I would please speak to somebody new coming in and help them out so that they wouldn't be so afraid of what was going on.
Wow,
And it was very satisfying because it helped me as much as it helped them, I think.
absolutely. Yeah, that's so good. And so tell me a little bit about why you chose to have a couple of rounds of chemotherapy. What was the reasoning there? And talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, when I did my research on triple negative and found out the different protocols and the way things have to happen in the medical world,
Mm.
my body was telling me, don't do this, don't do this. I mean, I started out being on the floor of our bedroom, just crying my eyes out the night before I was supposed to get the port put in. And fortunately, my husband was supportive and said, you don't have to do this. But we talked about it, and he felt very strongly about it. And I made the decision that there were a couple things that I could do. I could leave and go somewhere else, but then I would not have a support system. Or I could choose to do the chemo and work with my local doctors and go through the process. It was a very, very tough decision, but I think it was the right decision because by the end of the chemotherapy treatments, I went in and they did, I can't remember if it was an MRI. I think it was an MRI, but there was no sign of the tumors. So I did have surgery. They did a lumpectomy and took out some lymph nodes. But I was very adamant when I talked to the doctor, because a lot of doctors at that time, I don't know how it is now, go in and totally strip all of the lymph nodes out of your arm, which is terrible for you. So my doctor had permission to take out whatever she needed, but no more. And she said, I have to do 4 lymph nodes. And I said, okay. And you have permission to do more if you find more cancer. But if you don't find any, that's where you stop.
Yep.
And she goes, okay. And I said, the tissue in my breast, you can take out what you need. So she took out a small amount in my breast. She took out 3 lymph nodes and tested. She took out 1 and tested, and took out the second and tested, and took out the third and tested. And after the third, she knew that there was no more cancer there. So she stopped, and she came out and told my husband that she only had to take 3 lymph nodes.
Right. Awesome.
So for me, it was really that decision. Do I have a support system, or do I do an alternative? And the support system, which was much more important.
Yeah. Yeah. And we make the best decisions we have at the time when we're faced
Exactly.
making them, I had a similar thing. I I actually had the surgery first and then went through 6 months of chemo, but then it took me 4 months after the surgery to getting around. I did a lot of research, did a lot of talking to different people, doctors, healers, and felt like maybe chemotherapy was a good thing to do just because of the size of the lump that I had and all that. So yeah,
Mhm.
would I choose to do it now, knowing everything I know? Probably not. It was
Yeah,
it's pretty
I
hard on
agree.
your body, pretty hard on your body. But
Right.
yeah, you make the decision you can, that you know the best decision for yourself at the time. And I, like yourself, backed that up. The whole time I was doing chemotherapy, I was also doing lots of other things to help myself detox and
Yes,
all those things that you do, the energy
yes.
therapies and all those things make such a huge difference. Chinese medicine, acupuncture and herbs, all those things make such an amazing.
Oh, yes. And I did those. I forgot about that because I've for many, many years on a regular basis done acupuncture, massage therapy, and chiropractic. And I was at one of those every single week
Yep,
during treatment.
yep.
So,
It makes such a
and
huge difference, really.
it does. And I found this amazing medical massage therapist who knew about how to treat you when you're going through chemotherapy. And my acupuncturist knew about cancer too. So I had this great team that helped me out a whole lot. Plus, just the people that were supportive.
Mm. Yeah.
But one of the things that I thought was quite interesting going through the journey was the people who stepped up that you don't expect to step up, and the people who backed away that you thought would be the ones that would be there.
Yes.
So that part of the journey was quite interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. And I'm sure every single person going through breast cancer and watching this interview will resonate with that. Yeah, for sure. So, um, well, the one thing that I wanted to ask you was how it's all going now.
It's going amazing. I have opened up my creativity and done some great things with. I'm painting. I found a fabulous art teacher, and he has been able to open up my creativity. And one of the things that I'm currently doing in my paintings is I've started incorporating my writings and messages into the paintings, which are great.
Wonderful.
Physically, I'm doing very well. My energy level is back up almost to 100%. And, one of the major things that they don't tell you about is how chemo ruins your digestive system.
Oh yeah.
And even though I did a whole lot, took enzymes and pre and probiotics all through the chemo, I still have major digestive issues to this day. But I'll take those over the alternative.
Absolutely. Yes, totally agree with you. I continue to have problems with my nervous system. For me, it was my nerves that really took a big hit with the chemo.
Mm,
And so, yeah, you just need to remember to learn to keep nurturing and looking after yourself. I mean, I'm 20 years past now, so uh,
that's awesome.
yes. But yeah, you sort of think, okay, I'm 5 years past. Can I stop doing all these things? I don't think so. I think
No,
cancer is a big wake-up call that you really need to continue to look after not only your physical health, but your mental health. And that's where I want to say something about your book here, The Mindset for Healing. As I said, you can purchase this book. It's on my website. There's a link to where you can get to it. It gives you a bit of information about the book. It's under the tab called Recommended Reading. This book is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you wrote it, because I would say mindset is the absolute number one thing that needs to be dealt with when you have, well, any kind of a disease process going on in your body. But look, since we're talking about breast cancer, what I have observed in the lead up to my diagnosis was that I was under a huge amount of stress and I wasn't managing it well at all. And for every one of my clients, my coaching clients, I would say probably 95% of them have that same issue, had that same issue going on in the lead up to their diagnosis. So we know that stress is a really bad thing for our health. In so many
Absolutely.
ways. In so many ways. And that's why I like your book so much, because it talks about the various different ways and how to alter that mindset so that you're in a more healing phase rather than you are a stress phase. If that makes sense.
Yes. Well, part of the reason that I wrote the book was I was looking for a guidebook, not somebody telling me, well, this worked for me, so this is what you have to do. I was looking for a guidebook that gave me some suggestions, and I didn't find one.
Mm.
So when I was done with the journey and feeling better, I sort of asked the universe what I was supposed to do now. And my health coaching, I started out as a certified health and wellness coach. I noticed that my clients needed stress management. So I did more learning about stress management and I was coaching in that direction. And that's what I was doing when I was diagnosed. So taking that and looking at where I was, and we had just moved recently, and there was all kinds of different things going on in my life, and I was trying to rebuild a business in a brand new place. And so, yes, I too was under a lot of stress at the time, but knew how to manage that stress a little bit better than most because of my training. So the book is a culmination of prior healing journeys I had been on and the experiences that I had, taking the experiences from my clients and being able to put that all in and saying, okay, so here is ways that you can improve your mindset, because I agree with you. Mindset was one of the biggest things. But on the other hand, you do also have to honor those feelings when you are spiraling down. As long as you honor them, look at them, I suggest taking out a journal and writing about them to find out what is behind them. And then writing, okay, how can I change these thoughts and make them more positive? And yeah, that is one of the biggest things that I did for myself. And then gratitude, just being grateful for what you have made a huge difference too.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you're in the process of writing another book talking about your breast cancer healing journey. So that'll be
Yeah,
exciting to see, and I'm really glad that you're doing that.
thank you.
Can I
So
take,
I was,
go ahead.
oh, good.
No,
I was fortunate enough, I journaled every single day. So I have
I did too.
my exact feelings that I went through. And that's pretty much what I'm going to use is those journal entries, because that's the raw, true emotion of in the moment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. Yeah, I think that'll be really important for people to read, because there's got to be more than one of us going through this right now.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes, unfortunately. So, I wanted to ask you what your favorite therapies were in terms of how they made you feel.
Oh, Probably,
I know
well,
you,
the
you had a
acupuncture,
lot of different ones, but,
yes, yes. The acupuncture, the um, massage, and the chiropractic, of course, are all the things that are the most. I also think that doing the therapy and the hypnotherapy for me was very helpful because it was digging deeper into what had caused that stuck energy, that dis-ease in my body. And with doing that, it really helped me to release and forgive and know that I was moving in the right direction.
yeah.
So I would say those were probably the most effective that helped me the most.
I'm really glad you mentioned hypnotherapy because I think there's definitely a place for that in anybody's healing journey because, we can carry a lot of junk around in our subconscious minds that, and we know, as we know, the subconscious mind is what really runs the show, and so if you're carrying
Exactly.
around a bunch of really negative beliefs about yourself. You're like, I'm not good enough, or I'll never be able to measure up to what my dad thought I should be, all those sorts of things. Um, they really can be detrimental and set us up for disease. So I think
Yes,
I think there's definitely a place for hypnotherapy in our healing journeys. Because as we're talking here, mindset is a huge thing. In my years as a cancer coach, I would say that it comes into play more often than not. And I even tell my clients now that your emotional health is even more important than anything else. I mean, I would say it's the number one thing.
I agree.
And so if you can use modalities to help you, number one, uncover what your subconscious beliefs are about yourself and replace those with, better, more uh, good things about yourself, it's a really important thing to do. So I'm glad we're talking about that.
Yeah, that's actually one of the chapters in the book is about how do you take those negative thoughts and turn them into positive
Yeah,
thoughts.
yeah,
And it is very important. And as you said, it's also about healing mind, body, spirit. You have to heal all three because if you just, in my opinion, and in the opinion of others, try to heal the body and you don't go into the mind and the spirit to heal, then that disease is going to stay with you. You're not going to be able to release
and thank you for saying that. Uh-huh.
it.
Thank you.
Very important.
Yeah, I truly believe you're absolutely right there, and I frequently say the same things to my clients. So,
Yes.
all right, anything else you'd like to share that you feel is relevant?
Yes. One of the things that I did, and again, this is the mind, body, spirit thing, is that I created a mantra for myself throughout the healing journey. And I do talk about this in the book, but, and I can share the mantra, and this really made a difference because it was things that resonated with me so that I was able to heal. It was something that pulled me out of that downward spiral. And I really thought long and hard about what the journey was going to be about. So, would you like me to share that mantra?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the mantra was, and still is, I am strong, I am healthy, I am loved and supported, I am a thriver and survivor. I am healed. I am whole.
Beautiful.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Very
And
powerful.
actually, since, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying it's very powerful words too. To say I am is like the most powerful, brings you right into the present moment. And it's almost like you're sending antenna out into the universe. You know, this is me, this is who I am, and you attract more of that to yourself.
Yes, I agree. And
Yeah,
one of the things though too about this is I use the word survivor in here. It using the words releaser just didn't kind of fit,
yeah,
but we're all survivors every day.
yeah,
And I truly believe that there are very negative words that are used in the medical world. They want you to fight, they want you to battle, they want you to be a survivor. And if you look up all the definitions of those, they're very negative.
yeah.
And I would much rather use something positive. So that is why I say I am a releaser. I do not say I am a survivor.
I will absolutely love that term. Well, thank you so much for being here with me. I'm absolutely delighted that we had finally made the time to do this interview. I've
Well,
been,
thank you. And thank you for inviting me. I truly appreciate it.
I know, and I know your message is going to mean a lot to a lot of people. So, thank you for being who you are and having the courage to speak out and share your journey, because I know it's going to touch a lot of people.
Thank you. And I do believe the universe has told me it is time. I was not ready. I could not crack open that journal, but I have started doing it and it's cathartic and I think it's going to be another healing journey,
Yeah,
both
yeah,
for me and hopefully for everybody that reads it.
I'm sure. I'm sure it will be. Well, thank you, Tirtzah. I'm so happy to meet up with you today and share this information with other people, and just sending you so many blessings and so much love.
Thank you. And if anybody would like to get a hold of me, may I share my,
Absolutely.
so my website is tirtzahsandor.com. That's TIRTZAHSANDOR.com. And I, like you, do have other resources on there too, because it's all about how can I help somebody.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody out there, for watching. Blessings and healing to all of you.